Hello, welcome to box 6 of Hoop Club. So this one was put together during lockdown, which was interesting and a challenge, but I feel like in contrast to the conditions it was created in, it's a really lovely, peaceful, calming project, so that's something to hold on to. I hope you're doing okay, getting through lockdown, and I really hope you enjoy this kit. So what we're stitching, so this is the sample that I've stitched and that I showed you in the sneak preview. So yours will be not this bright white, that wasn't meant to be that colour. Not sure who got that wrong, me or the printer. Didn't have time to go into that. So yours is this lovely natural organic cotton, which I think is just much more peaceful and calming and makes the white pop a little bit more, and it's just lovely, really gorgeous fabric. So this first video is going to show you how to do all of the main stitches that are included on the project, and then I'll do a second instalment which shows you how you actually make up the little banner. So we're doing something a little bit different again this month, because I don't want you to just have 50 million hoops to put up around your house. We love hoops, it is Hoop Club, but I really want to show you different ways of displaying embroidery and different projects that you can make with embroidery. And so again, in this project, a bit like the rainbows in box 4, we're using the hoop to help us stitch the project, but the hoop doesn't form part of how you display it. So we're going to learn some new techniques. So we're going to learn about using interfacing as a stabiliser for our stitching, which is a really useful technique to have in your armoury, your embroidery armoury. And yeah, it's just a little bit different, so I hope you like it. We're going for it with the Satin Stitch, this project, and you'll get lots of chance to practice that. It's fun and it gets better with practice. I find my Satin Stitch, if I've sat and done quite a bit, it just gets so much better. So if you want to practice that one, if you're finding it a bit tricky, maybe put the project down and practice on a bit of scrap fabric. But that's an introduction. So we're very excited to have worked with Lucy from Hand and Palm on this one. If you have a look at her shop, she just sells some gorgeous prints, they're so lovely, and we've included a lovely postcard in your box which you can use. You could frame it or put it on your notice board, but that's one of my favourite prints of Lucy's, so really excited to include that in the box. So let's get on with it. I'll show you how we do this. So you need to find a clean place to iron, and I use a towel. I found that helpful to iron onto. Cut your interfacing to the size of the banner, and then we're going to take the shiny side of the interfacing and iron that to the back side of your banner. So look for the kind of shiny side. There's one shiny side and a matte side, and then on a medium heat iron your interfacing onto your banner. The edges might not completely stick to the fabric, that's fine, you just need it to be not falling off. If you don't have an iron, you can pin it, that's fine. So this interfacing gives us some stability to the fabric. As we're doing lots of stitches on the fabric, we don't want it to warp or pucker, so the interfacing gives us a really stable base. So I've got my fabric now in the hoop, and we're going to start stitching around the blue leaves. Now don't tighten your hoop as much as you would tighten a normal piece of embroidery that you were going to keep in the hoop. We don't want to make creases and marks that don't come out. So just kind of have it tight enough to be able to stitch, but not too tight. So we're going to start with this back stitch. This is a split back stitch we're using, and we're going to outline the leaf shape, the whole shape really, but we're going to do it a leaf at a time. So outline with that split back stitch, and then we're going to carry on going all the way around the shape and filling it in. So your split back stitch is one little stitch, then come up about half the size of that stitch, again go back down into the middle of the last stitch, come up again half the size of a stitch that you're doing, and then go back down right through the middle. So this is how we're using this back stitch as a fill stitch here. So this is just a close up, excuse my terrible nails, of our back stitch, and we're just following the pattern printed onto fabric to outline, and then we're going to just be going round and round and round each little shape to fill it up. And this is what it will look like. This is the first sample that I did. So it looks really velvety and smooth once you've finished. Just keep going around and round, filling each leaf shape individually as you go, and up and down the stem. So we're using exactly the same stitch and technique to do the middle of the daisies. So we're using 3 strands of thread and a split back stitch. So really simple, just same way as we did the blue flowers. You're going all the way around the circle and just going round and round so that you meet in the middle. So it is important the order in which you do the different elements of this banner, because we don't want to crush some of the more delicate elements with the hoop as we go round. So try and do them in the order that we've put them in the instructions. So moving on to the words and some of the stems of the smaller flowers. So we're using 4 strands of thread now, but again we're still using a split back stitch to fill in the shapes. Now I've just gone over this once. You could go up and down again if you wanted to really fill in the letters here, the shape of the letters, but again just using trying to keep your stitches nice and small to fill in the shape of the letters, and then tie off your fabric, tie off your thread after you've done each word, so that you're not seeing black thread kind of reaching across to the next word. So again, using the same technique that we used to outline the leaves with the blue thread, we're going to fill in the leaves, these little flower stems here that are going to be black. So just fill those with split back stitch, the same way as we did the blue and the same way we've done the letters. So we're moving on to satin stitch now. We're going to do the white daisy flowers. So to start with, I am doing horizontal stitches across one petal, and I'm spacing them out all the way up to the end of the petal, and this is going to form the basis of our satin stitch. It's much easier to do this and then go back and fill in the shapes rather than trying to get your stitches really next to each other straight away. So just go back and fill in all the space and just keep going up and down. So right at the bottom of the stem, the petal, you might want to draw in the shape and extend it so that it reaches the middle of the flower, if that helps you, but I've just estimated kind of where each one goes while I've been stitching it. Now you'll do yours much neater than I have here to demonstrate, but this is just to demonstrate how you do the technique. And we're on to the last stitching element. So this is satin stitch again, but we're just doing it in a slightly different way. So we're fanning out the stitches towards the top of the petal and then bringing them back, probably all really back down the same hole that you went up with your thread, or there or thereabouts, to make this kind of lovely little fan of satin stitch. So that's how we do the little purple flowers. Really easy, but it looks I think it looks really good. It looks really like a flower, and it's just a really lovely effect. And that's it for the stitch tutorial element of this project. I will be back with the second tutorial to show you how to make the banner.